Is Donald Trump building a slush fund right now under the auspices of a political action committee for what he believes is going to take place with the onslaught of litigation against him after his term is over? You have Bloomberg reporting that MAGA Inc., also a weird name for a political action committee to be an incorporation, but whatever. MAGA Inc.'s war chest climbs to $404 million after no spending. So as of this video, according to Bloomberg and lots of other places, it could change soon, of course, who knows, but Trump's raised $404 million. You know, those emails that I talk about where he's like, Donald Trump wants you to join his VIP club. Donald Trump's going to invite you to Mar-a-Lago. Well, you want to be in Donald Trump's cabinet? Just donate this amount of money. And it's like also like it's very easy when I look at it to accidentally spend like $5,000 or like the highest one when you think you're clicking on the lowest one. It's like double your gift now for an extra gift, double and triple it right now. I've done so many videos. Anyway, that's led to them raising $404 million and no money's been spent. And we're 70 days away or so from the midterms. Now, in typical Trump fashion, he claims that the number is actually $850 million. And then another day he says $800 million. So it's just whatever number he comes up with. But here he was on Friday on the tarmac at Joint Base Andrews saying that he has raised $850 million. But don't you worry. He will be spending a lot. He will be spending a lot. It's an interesting number, though, when he picks out $850 million. So is he going to claim? I don't know. I'm just giving you my opinion and my speculation. Is he going to be claiming when there's still $450 million or $404 million after the midterms? What are you talking about? I said 850 is what we had, and now we have 400. So yeah, I spent $400 million. Is it going to be a phantom 400 million? But here he is saying it's 850, even though the records say it's 404. But play this clip.
So that's what we're doing. We're hearing that MAGA Inc. is going to start spending your war chest. What races are you putting money into, sir? Well, I've raised a lot, and nobody knows what it is, but I will tell you it's about $850 million. And I'll be spending a lot of that money and my own money, but I'll be spending a lot of that money for candidates that I think are good, Republican candidates that I think are good. So when you add the $850 million to all of the other money that we've raised, we're in very good shape.
Mr. President, there are several Republicans who are running for midterms this year.
I'm going to be spending a lot of my money, just like the ballroom. We got a lot, 850. Nobody knows what it is. Why would nobody know what it is? It's a public record. People should know what it is because that's what a political action committee's reporting obligations are. It's not shrouded in some mystery filing. It's out there. But then what was it last week or a week before that when he was asked about not spending any of the political action money? He wanted to make it clear that he controls it and it's his decision and he's the one directing it. And like quite literally the most basic thing of a political action committee is that like he as the politician is not allowed to direct it. But just think about how far the Overton window has shifted where he could even come up with a statement and say, I'm the one directing the political action committees. Like, you know, I mean, they've gutted the Federal Election Commission. So he's out there saying things that in past years, you'd be like, what did he just say? Yeah, that doesn't sound lawful to me. But here's when he said it was 800 million. Let's play it.
Do you, MAGA Inc., the super PAC that your allies control, has a lot of money and a lot of people?
Not my allies. I control it.
Okay. You and your allies.
$800 million.
Are you going to spend it?
It's funny. Nobody ever, of course, I'm going to do.
You're going to spend it in the midterms.
I could spend it on pretty much anything I want. I'm going to spend it I'm going to help Republicans. And so when you say I don't care.
No, I didn't say that. I said some people say that.
Yeah, look, I mean, I could do a lot easier. I don't have to be away in Nevada yesterday. I didn't have to be in Los Angeles yesterday making speeches. I didn't have to be supporting all the people. I have a lot of, I have a...
and then you get a story like this. This is like in the Texas paper. Scoop. The Trump super PAC, MAGA Inc., was in the field with a message testing poll. The attack ad against Tallarico, shown to respondents within the poll, focused on rural hospital closing. MAGA eyes Tallarico. MAGA Inc., Donald Trump's PAC, is moving closer to spending some of its $400 million in Texas, fielding a message testing poll shared with the Texas bullpen against James Tallarico. They're against gimmicks. It's gimmicks. We're moving closer to a concept of a framework. Here's the thing. If you were going to deploy that cash, you would have already had to reserve the TV spots right now, and you would have had to do things to actually deploy it. So here we are, frameworks of concepts of 2 weeks of testing of this and it's that. I will make a bold prediction. I don't know. I'm not stating this as fact. I'm giving you my opinion. There will be a 4 in front of what Donald Trump has at the end of this midterm election cycle. And that's not 40. I think there'll be 400 million and something. And I'll be, what are you talking about? Do you know how expensive it is when I go and do these rallies and I go out there? That was my money. That is what I did right there. And of course, one of the things we know as well is that MAGA Inc. is one of those entities out there that's sucking in all of this money from different corporations and people who want pardons and things like that. And Trump he's a hoarder. He likes to see the number build and build and build. You look at Geo Group, contributed $1.4 million to MAGA Inc., the Trump PAC, just weeks after the company secured 2 5-year Department of Homeland Security contracts to operate those ICE detention facilities. They get a good investment for them. And I say this, it's horrific what they're doing. They do $1.4 million to MAGA Inc. What do they get out of it? $165 million. I'm extrapolating. I don't know this for a fact. I'll just say $165 million in annual revenue. That is a fact that's the amount. Colorado and North Carolina detention centers. And so my thesis is a very basic one, and I'm going to bring in Harry Litman from the Talking Feds YouTube channel and podcast, and I'm going to, again, share my opinion, protected by the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. Feel free to disagree with my opinion speech. But he is hoarding this. He's a hoarder with money and everything. He's hoarding this, in my view, for when he leaves office or for himself. And he kind of gave it away when you listen to him. I could use it for anything. I could use it for this. I could use it for that. You have him gutting the Federal Election Commission, which doesn't have a quorum. They can't actually do investigations. It's like, Harry, we moved the Overton window where the mere idea of like federal elections investigations is like, what are you even talking about right there? And that's a big problem. There's a reason why we had these structures and things that were supposed to make it so big money and these PACs and certain things could not really destroy our democratic system. But Harry, I wanted to highlight all of that. And it's the same, everything he does, he makes up the number 400, 800. I can't tell you, I'm going to do this. And then it's all Geo does private prisons. And he puts him in his money. It's the same story, Harry. It's the same story, Harry. What do you make of it all?
Well, it's a variation of the same story as I see it, because this is a story about the toxic combination of Donald Trump and certain loopholes or elastic features of our public finance and political contribution laws. So yeah, on the one hand, first, you see these appeals that, every time something goes against him, he actually again sort of milks the people who don't have a lot of money to give him. It's amazing the kind of proliferation of people who can't afford it, that it just strikes me like he's a total flim-flam man. But leaving that aside, it is true and a little scandalous that if you got this chunk of change and it's a certain kind of PAC, this versus that, I don't want to bore the Midas Mighty or the Fed heads with all the kind of nuances here, but you really can do a lot with it. He can't buy shoes for himself, maybe, but there's a lot of stuff that you're able to do. This we saw last week a interesting race in Florida where Alex Vindman was lost, even though he had outspent his opponent 16-1. He's got $7 million in the bank now, and he can do stuff with it also. And of course, that kind of money is a power chip. You can bestow it or not to the extent the election code permits you to. So you take that elasticity and you overwrite Donald Trump and his personality. And this is what of course, the single feature of his personality is him first. And I think that the point you made, as long as you can make a kind of a tenuous argument that this is based on his political status, et cetera, I think it will all of a sudden open up these coffers for him to fund legal expenses and the like. The one good thing you can say, or the one place where the Supreme Court has not invalidated the areas of laws, is in election code notification. So we're going to see. They're going to have to file things. They're going to have to be on the up and up. He's of course, in his Trumpian way, saying 850 million. I think you do the standard discount for Trump and you're way less. But that at least we'll find out. Now, of course, he doesn't give a shit about lying. He wakes up lying and lies all day. So if he's exposed, he'll either have a story or he'll move on or the like. But the one aspect of election law that is pretty tight is reporting. This is kind of what brought down George Santos, if you remember. He was taking his contributions and spending it on really his own kind of ambitions to be in the room in different places. But he was defrauding his contributors, wasn't what he was spending it on. So, at the end of the day, we'll find out what it is. But if he, true to form, wants to spend it on something he'd otherwise have to spend his own money on, like legal expenses, he's got a lot of wiggle room, and he's a wiggler.
Yeah, I mean, again, the Harry, when I think about the civil fraud case against Donald Trump back in New York before Judge Erdogan, and I think about Letitia James brought that case, and the central feature was he'd make up numbers. I mean, he'd make up numbers. He would say it's $20 million here, it's $2 billion here. He would say it's $100 million here. He'd say it's $700 million. Now we see it in this example, in this video that you and I are doing. But it's also $19 trillion that he lies about and says was invested in the United States. It's a material misrepresentation. There hasn't been $2 trillion invested into the United States. It's a fake number. And if it was true that that amount of money was injected in 1 year, well, then we wouldn't have a situation where the deficit is increasing, where the debt is rising the way it is. We would have surplusage of money, and we would have a situation that we were once talking about in the Al Gore, George W. Bush race in 1999, 2000, where they were talking about a lockbox because we actually had extra funds. Remember those days? And so, there's a consequence for the lockbox. I mean, remember those days when Saturday Night Live would do like that was humor.
Daryl, what's his name?
That was Harry. It's like when I watch, I don't have that much time to watch a Netflix anymore like I once did, but sometimes I'd watch these, comics. I'd turn it on, I'd be like, whatever. I watch a comedy show from the 80s, and I'd watch it and I go, holy shit, that's not even funny. I'm like, where people were laughing at this stuff. Like, I'm like, is this like heinously offensive? Like, I listened to that stuff in the 80s. But then I think about the 90s and I think about like what we would laugh at, then it'd be like, I got my lockbox, and okay, well, now we have $40 trillion in debt. We're not talking about lockboxes. We got George W. Bush's never-ending war. We've got Donald Trump's never-ending wars right now. And now we're it's a different environment. And we got Trump just making up numbers. 18 trillion, 50 trillion, some gajillion. And it's like, dude, that's fraud. You're lying. This is called fraud. And we have to get back to that, where we can call things out and be like, you can't just commit fraud. You're just making up shit. Stop it. Harry, before.
Yeah. And, look, you're right. Life imitates art here. But I want to also introduced a whole set of people who've been totally bilked by him and may have causes of action. He's made what, 2 billion, 3 billion off some of his crypto stuff. And guess what? 2 billion or 3 billion have been lost by individual investors. And God knows the sort of shit he said that it induced them. You know, the flip side of what he's done is just like, treat the American people like suckers and probably, you know, chuckling about it. That's the mindset of the 47th president of the United States.
Everybody subscribe to Harry Litman's YouTube channel. It's called Talking Feds. Subscribe to it. Search on YouTube, Talking Feds Podcast. Thanks, Harry.
Thank you, Ben.
Before you go, our book, WTF America, is available for pre-order now. It's the story of how we got here and how we fight our way back. To pre-order, scan the QR code or click the link in the description. Let's do this.